Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club with 4 race starts. We're going to start with our category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our category 1 riders, in green our category 2, in blue category 3 and category 4 in red.
The riders on the front, John Wakefield was just on the front of the group and he came to the front of the chase group and went woo and went down to 1 watt per kilo. No thank you, not for me, I'm not leading the charge. John Wakefield's still back on the front of that chase group, and actually Nicole Kansara now picking up the pace.
Lyndon Milostic had disappeared off through the sprint with the fastest sprint time on the attack, and he's gone clear 16 seconds at this point, at this junction, at 7k, doomed to failure.
Well, he's done this before. Marcin Trojanowski absolutely putting the power down now. He's decided that Lyndon Milostic has been out there long enough. The gap's around 20 seconds. It's time to reel the young rider back.
This X100 is on the offensive. The leading group has fractured into 2 distinct groups. The second group behind, but Mr. X100 has left the front group, which you can just about see on your screens, and gone clear. So at the moment, opening up the gap, stretching his legs out here and looking smooth on that bike. So this is all about getting into position, trying to be in position. Key position is in contention at the base of the Nabatean cave climb. This critical crunch point, the crux of this race route, is between the 41.4k marker and the 43.8k mark. Somebody has got to choose their moment correctly. I think it's who goes first, and Roy went at 9.5 watts per kilo there. He's been chased though by West, who's on his wheel at 14 watts per kilo. West at the front with the yellow bandana starts to open the gap on Roy with that white helmet behind him, and Alex West has found a sprint from somewhere. Alex West takes victory in category 4 on qualifier race 3 on the Sunday Race Club.
Madame, messieurs, bonjour, ravi de vous retrouver sur MyWhoosh pour ce Sunday Race Club catégorie. Au départ, la catégorie 4 en rouge, les bleus de la catégorie 3, la catégorie 2 en vert et bien sûr la catégorie 1 en jaune avec les rouges qui vont ouvrir le bal. Attention, réaction de SS déjà, quand même très très tôt ça. SS qui accélère l'allure. Il n'a pas envie de laisser partir Ola Warren et Simon Cox. Alors évidemment, si SS attaque, il faut immédiatement réagir. Aïe aïe aïe, il doit laisser partir. Il doit laisser partir Olivier Simons. Milostic qui doit sentir dans son dos le souffle du peloton. Mister Xan qui ne se relève pas, qui continue d'imprimer son propre tempo. Il veut vraiment fatiguer les adversaires. Jones, Savarzadeh et Osborne. Bon, on va répéter la phrase qu'on dit chaque semaine. C'est: est-ce que ça va être la bonne aujourd'hui pour Savarzadeh? Ça y est, le sprint est lancé en tout cas. Justin Roy a du 8 watts, 9 watts par kilo. Alex West, regardez la puissance d'Alex West. Ah ouais, il est plus puissant. 12 watts par kilo. C'est parti avec Alex West qui vient s'imposer. Voilà, c'était le plus rapide.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مشاهدينا الكرام، متابعينا في كل مكان، أهلا وسهلا بكم مع الانطلاقات الأربعة والفئات الأربعة. الفئة باللون الأحمر، الفئة الرابعة والفئة الثالثة بالأزرق، والفئة الثانية باللون الأخضر، والأولى باللون الأصفر.
اس اس يقوم بعملية التاك للعودة من جديد إلى أولا وورن الذي يبتعد مع سيمون كوكس بتقريبا 9 ثواني. يأخذ زمام المبادرة اللاعب اس اس.
هذا ميهاو كامنسكي، واحد هو طبعا ميهاو كامنسكي بولندي من الأسماء القوية. ميهاو كامنسكي، محمد القيس ما نشوفك في الصورة الحقيقية لمحمد القيس، لكنه ظهر عن طريق طواف الخليج وقد برز من خلال هذا الطواف، فاز بمرحلة في طواف الخليج مع تطبيق مايوش. اليوم نتشرف بهذا الحضور المميز للبحريني. محمد القيس في ذيل الكوكب. القيس يلا يا القيس، يلا يا القيس، القيس برافو يا القيس. 380 واط للقيس مقابل 431 للإماراتي. اس اس أيضا يتفوق. نعم يا سلام، مع الإطارات المضيئة يتقدم الآن مع قميص صعود المرتفعات الجبلية عند الكيلو 22. مستر اكس 100 UAE كلان تيم يعاود الكرة، يعمل اتاك آخر الآن، اكسلريشن عالي المستوى الآن موجود في الصورة. برافو يا مستر اكساندريت. جوستن روي ينطلق اكسلريشن الآن، عملية سبرنت قوية، يتقدم أليكس ويست النيوزيلندي، يتقدم أليكس في مقدمة السباق، مقاومة موجودة من جوستن روي، أليكس إلى خط النهاية.
So hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's our monthly final here today in August. We just had an absolutely barnstorming women's race. It blew the doors off well and truly. The roof, the walls, there was not a lot left by the end. My name's Matt Payne. I'm here in the studio with the one and only
Emma Martin.
It's good to have you here, Emma. We saw an amazing women's race with a route that had basically not a lot of climbing till the very end. We are kind of on a very similar route for the men, but with a few added bumps on the way.
Well, added bumps, you can call them that. We're in Arabia today for the men on the Jebel Hafeet. 45 kilometres of racing, 1,041 metres of climbing, 690 of which are on the Jebel Hafeet itself. Now, we head out of the start. The Expo sprint comes at 3 kilometres. There are 5 sprints along the way. The aquarium climb is the first of our 2 climbs today. That comes at 16.4 kilometres into the race, 3.3 kilometres in length with an average gradient of 2.9%. It'll push the riders and it may well split the pack, but it won't be decisive. They then transition towards the Jebel Hafeet itself at 34.5 kilometres. That's where the climb starts. The early stages go to 13% on this climb. It's 10 kilometres in length. Yes, you did hear that correctly. With an average gradient of 7%, but there are some very stepped sections on this climb with flat tops and then it kicks again. And that for me is where the decisive race moves are going to be made.
And the finish is quite technical as well. At the top of the Jebel Hafeet, we have a descent and then a rise into the finish after we finish the climbing. And it's very, very important to get the momentum right on those final few hundred meters. So after all that work across through the sprints, over the aquarium climb, all the way up the Jebel Hafeet, you can still lose it in the very last few moments. So really, really critical to make sure you get this absolutely dialed, whether you're in category 1, 2, 3 or 4. Category 1 in yellow, 2 in green, category 3 in blue, and category 4 in red are our first riders away. 5 minutes between categories 4 and 3. 10 between 3 and 2, 5 between 2 and 1. You can see the time clocks on your screens. Let's have a look at category 4. Today's our final, so our teams are in play and the team competition is for some mightily big prizes. So really, really key to make sure that you're in there. Now, the level Avengers, Simeon, Rusinek, Montier, Rooney and Francis, that's team 1. We've got the level elite, Zanaska, Calangard, Cadabona and Brito. Level up racing, West, Fiddler, Lee and Roy. We've got Mighty Ducks, Tortoretto, Kutab, Krewanos, as well as Gonzalez. We've got Spinergy, and we've got Agadello, as well as Gomez, Skretting, and Otruba. We've got the Anzacs with Navarro, Cridland, Carvajal, Dasson and Connell. And then we've got the upcycle squad as well. Van den Dries, Dromard, Lloyd, Cox and Maillard, joined by a number of individuals. SS, as you saw on our rewinds, on storming form, coming back and looking very, very good at the moment. Got Matt Smithson in as well as racing. So let's see if everybody can walk the walk as well as talk the talk. We're off and racing in category 4 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Our finals for August. Brittman Murtry and Lenador also not in teams, interestingly. 4 riders not in teams today. McMurtry and Lenador, SS and Smithson, they have the advantage of not having to play team tactics.
Well, they do indeed. 35 riders on the start sheets in category 4 today. Those 7 teams that Matt has talked us through. And I think this is going to be really interesting today. Now, in the July, I just have to remember which month we are. In the July final, it was Level Up Racing from the Anzacs. Well, Level Up Racing this month, Alex West has had a first and a fifth. Justin Roy's had a second and a fourth. Fiedler and Lee are in there as well. Strong, the Level Avengers, Zimmer's had a fourth and a fifth. Rustenek's had a fourth. Francis Rooney and Mountier are in there as well. Second place in July was the Anzacs. Connell has had a first and a third this month, but none of the other riders have been on the podium in the top 5. So for me, I think this may be Level Up Racing, Level Avengers, and the Anzacs perhaps. So it's all going to be to play for in the team competition. We've not been on the Jebel Hafeet for a long time. It was the 2nd of May the last time we were here, and well, I think it's going to be interesting. Well, Simon Cox has decided he's not waiting for the Jebel Hafeet to make his mark. He's decided he's going from the gun. It's a very long 45 kilometres, Simon Cox, if you want to be out and ahead. Nobody else responding. A very steady start from the rest of the pack, and quite rightly, really.
Yeah. I'm not sure that I would be going too hard too soon on this race, unless maybe the team tactics meant I needed to rip this up and really put people under pressure. You've Van den Dries, Dromard, Lloyd, Cox and Mayard for the upcycled squad. They are riders who are not necessarily in your top 3, let's say, in terms of performances so far. Strong, smart, but not necessarily in for the win. So team tactics today are going to be really key for them, I think.
I agree, but you say that, but Mayard, Lloyd, Dromard and Van den Dries may not be in the top 3, but pretty much will pack the top 15.
Yes, and that's why it's key for me that they pack themselves, that they work that team game. And by sending somebody down the road, make everybody else chase, or potentially just get a massive head start going into the climbs. That is a great way to do that. And quite often the teams fall asleep. It might also be that they all want... Well, they do.
Did you just say the teams fall asleep?
It's kind of metaphorical, but it is kind of literal, because there are times when anybody who's raced sort of regularly will know that you get kind of comfy in the bunch. You all look at each other in the bunch. You look at each other who's around you. And you think, oh, yeah, somebody's gone down the road, somebody will chase. Then you kind of think about something else. Then you think somebody has chased.
Well,
and they haven't, and there's someone down the road.
Jacques Rusenek is not falling asleep today.
Well, he's not to fall off the bike, wouldn't he? And at the moment, he'd need to fall backwards to get onto the sofa.
Well, yes, and I think there's a coffee table in the way, but Jacques Rusenek, part and parcel of the Category 4 race. Really strong rider, you know, Matt. He's had a 4th place for the Level Avengers this month already, and this type of course, I think, could suit him, you know. He was 5th here. I'm just double-checking. He was 5th here in May.
I think, for me, one of the key things with this course is it's not flat. It looks flat. Well, yeah, but it looks the whole way through. It looks relatively flat because of the scale of the Jebel Hafeet. And the scale of the Jebel Hafeet is so big it flattens everything out. Let's see who has got this start in Category 3. Our Anzacs team: Sanchez Schwartz, Marin de Manuel, as well as Edwards. The draft squad: Cadiz Bedoya, Geraldo, Spratt and Veles. GUW squad: Van der Zandt, Smythe, Wakefield, Montoya and Guarin. Goal grabbers: Dido, Shangarita, Kasara, Kachikov, as well as Giuliano. We've got Level Racing in here: Kirk, Allport, Hagland, Tuomi and Van Wellingham. The pro beginners: Cadabona, Elos, Ilpino, Orego and Amaro. And the Silver Sturchers, final team on the list: Bulgarin, Ace, Veles, Connell and Gonsolin. They're joined by Godazari, Montoya, Abella and Orego, and away they go. Orego is go-go.
Orego is go-go, and so are the entire squad of Category 3 riders as they sweep out of the start pen. Bulgarin, Giuliano, Van Velgem, Kansara, Ramirez, all in the mix. So is Marin and Connell. They are right up with Hagland and Velez. Bedoya is there as well, because it's a big group of 39 riders, and the 7 teams that Matt went through as they were sat in the pens. There's a push on the front here, you know, Robert Edwards, Luke Allport. Oh, it's Luke Allport and Francis Pino. Well, Pino and Allport, both of them well known for pushing hard at the front at the start. Allport, part and parcel of that level racing squad. Now, for me, in terms of teams, it's the gold grabbers to lose, you know. Diduch has had a first and a third, Angarita a second, Kansara a fourth and a fifth, and Kochkov a second and a fifth. Pino is part and parcel of the pro beginner squad with Cardona, Elos, Arago and Amaro. I think that's going to be an interesting group to come together. The Silver Snatchers and Draft, they could give the riders a run for their money, but if it goes to form, I'm not sure who can touch the gold grabbers. But I tell you something, Pino and Allport is out front still and continuing to push on. We've got a different shot of the garage, so a different camera angle today, but looking very neat and tidy in there at the moment, Mr. Allport. So great shot of you up and out of the saddle, flags in abundance, but it's Allport, Hagland and Svart. They're at the front of the race with Pino. 2 seconds this group of 4 have on the group.
So you can see that gap in the screen, in the centre of your screen there. We're with Daniel Cadiz at the moment on the way through. The riders highlighted in blue on the right-hand side, the rider that we are watching. The rider's stats, top and centre. Green watts are good watts because they mean you're in the draft. If they're white, it means you're out in the wind and you are going to be working all through on your own. We're just in with Henry East, a rider who's been riding outdoors quite a lot recently, out on the road bike. Some amazing pictures from him in New Zealand. Back indoors and racing. He's mixing both indoors and outdoors, as a lot of our riders do. And at the moment, certainly looks like that riding outdoors paying off. He's come across to this leading group of Allport, Pino, Schwartz and co. Behind, the group are still having to work, and that gap is still holding. They're making the racing hard.
They are indeed, and riders choosing whether to bridge the gap or not. Henry Yeast going straight through, up and over the top, decided that they weren't going hard enough on the front, so let's push on. Well, Henry Yeast, part and parcel of the Silver Snatchers, and sometimes I wish I was able to be a fly on the wall in the team discussions, and I'd love to know the pre-race strategies, but then, well, it's not quite as fun watching it all unfold, is it, if you know what might happen?
Says the woman who always reads the last page of the book before she reads the rest of the book.
That is so true.
There you go. The things you learn when you share a studio. Right, our riders up and away. Our riders at the moment sharing the road. It's category 4 and category 3. So our riders in the red and in the blue. They get the biggest head start of anybody out on course. And at the moment, well, you can see that Simon Cox is continuing with his attack on the front. That race lead that he opened up, well, it's continuing to extend. He's currently sitting at 15 seconds. Those time gaps are live, so but do bear in mind that they're going to yo-yo up and down dependent on terrain. But at the moment, with 6K covered, solo leader in category 4, we have a group at the front trying to break up the bunch. It is a bit like the early stages of a Grand Tour, like the Vuelta a España, where we're seeing a few moves being made. We're seeing the people who are eager to put the racing on hard from the word go. Familiar names like Nicholas Spratt, Henry East, Francis Pino, Nicholas Hagland up there, Ben Kurt, Ben Connell, Luke Allport, the regular names who are on the attack. Pino taking advantage of this to put a sprint in as well, but this sprint is horrible. It goes uphill. I've ridden this on MyWhoosh. I have to say, of all the places to put a sprint, up that nasty little drag is not where I would choose.
Well, I'll tell you something, Nicholas Hagland's, his heart rate's currently 190, 3.4 kilometres into this 45-kilometre race. Now, he's not going to be able to, I say he's not going to be able to hold that heart rate for the rest of the race, but who knows? Let's see. But
Don't put money on it.
No, I'm not going to. But there he is on the screen, and the effort going in there, so look at the concentration on his face. He's part and parcel of that leading group. Angarita, Reyes, Kansara, Diduch, Smythe, Connell, Van der Zandt is there there, as well as a Rago as well. Ben Kirk up the front, the stretch on this Category 3 pack, right the way back down the road as the leaders go up and around the roundabout. The tail of the group not there yet.
Not there yet. And that's the thing, isn't it? When you're on the back, you're having to respond all the time to everybody else's pace setting. You're having to jump. You're not doing it at the best moment necessarily. You're not doing it when you want to. Being the ringmaster, being the person at the centre who commands where everybody goes, setting the tempo, setting the pace, making the racing happen to your plan is always better than being on the receiving end, because you don't know what's coming. You're always reactive. You're always expending maybe more energy when you don't need it to be there. That is absolutely key. Being at the front of this race, okay, not doing too much work in the wind, but you want to be in the front. For me, today, in Category 3, you want to be in the top 5 or 6 riders.
I disagree.
There's a surprise.
I think today is the final. I think the final is very, very different to the qualifiers. Qualifiers, individual. Team competition here in the final, and Angarita in the mix here. Very strong rider, Angarita. So expecting great things today. No pressure. He's at a second place already this month, part and parcel of that gold grabbers crew. And for me, the team competition, the tactics are very, very different. If I was part and parcel of this today, my thoughts are very much around what's the team strategy? What's my role for the team? Your role for the team might be able to go off the front and to make it hard and to force other teams to try and chase. Your role in that team might be to sit in the bunch and let the other teams respond and just sit there and sit there and sit there. You execute your team role in the final. And for me, that's very, very different to the qualifiers.
Okay. Well, you did say you disagreed with me.
Well, I did, and let's take a
tell
look
you
at
what,
this Category 4
you can agree
race.
with me on. This section past the roundabout is
It's
one
steep.
of the nastiest sections early. It's it's the dip down and the rise out,
Yes,
sort of the roundabout climb.
Simon Cox has been brought back now by this Category 4 pack.
The speed down into the descent, the ascent out the other side is fast. It's a fast run in. You pick up a lot of pace. There's a massive advantage being in the bunch, and everybody who has raced this regularly will know that this is where you've got a chance to make it really, really unpleasant. You know, you're 8k into it. Everybody's warmed up. Everybody's legs are rolling well. You've got a good feel for this. Look at the gaps behind
Look at the
us.
stretch on that Category 4 group. I think
It's
we're going to
a key
see.
point.
We're going to see a leading group go away here, and we're going to see riders not join that group as this race now progresses at 8.5 kilometres. This is a key point in this race for a number of riders and a number of teams. And Jeff Rooney there on our screens, he is right up at the front of this group. Fabulous positioning from Jeff Rooney, and he's going to be in that leading selection.
A man with the same handlebar setup as Emma's cyclocross bike.
Well, there we go.
You can tell I spent far too much time mechanicking the full speed events bikes, as well as on the research as well.
Well, when your co-commentator is an ex-bike mechanic, why wouldn't you make use of them?
I suppose so. I have many roles in life. Cooking and ice cream is not necessarily one other than eating. Let's say who is going to be the chief head chef and who is going to be the sous chef of our riders here today. Let's run you through the teams. Al Wafba, QTR Pro, Al Hector, Nuki, Avedo, Arcase, Batsy, Kirchner, the GOAT Squad. Greatest of all time, Kane, Burt Kane, Bjarhead and Milostic, Level NSA Racing, Rimborg, Rodriguez, Kalman, Squilari and Patterson. You've got the MyWhoosh Werewolves. That's going to be Winfield, Theme, Graves, Walter and Koistinen. And Rule 5, well, that's Harvey and Harvey, Alex and James, Krasnich, Simmons and Fawcett. We've got the UAE Clan team. Now, they're going to be captained today by Mr. X100. The captain of the UAE Falcons team today will be Zaid Ahmed. We're going to have the Wattage Warlocks. That's Gombe, Brun, Vanhi, El Alami, Karadine. We've got the Warriors. That's Howeiler, Oya, Mendakowitz, and Von Harum. And the What's Up? And that is Carvajal, Kowalski, Sur, and Clay. What's up? It's the start. Time to get those What's up and running.
Well, category 2 are away. They're up and out the start pen as they head out of the pen onto the course. The pack sweep round, and my big question today is who's been watching NCIS and Gibbs, and what is Rule 5?
Oh, okay. I don't know, but there is a cycling Amata rule set as well as your very dodgy 1980s, 2000s. No, I can't even remember something that crime scene.
It is.
Thing.
It's Naval Crime Intelligence Service. See, look at that. I know the acronym.
You sad person.
I know, but Heaney, Harvey, Krasnich, Simmons and Fawcett, I bet they don't follow Gibbs. I bet they follow cycling. And
I hope they do.
Someone tell me what Rule 5 is. Well, I'll tell you something. The categories and teams here. Category 2, teams. This is going to be a really hard-fought team competition, and tactics are going to be everything. Now, the Goats took the win last month from the MyWhoosh Werewolves by 12 seconds.
Go on.
It was so close. Now, in terms of the Goats and the MyWhoosh Werewolves, they've been going pretty well this month. So Mohamed Al Alami is on our screen at the moment. Not part and parcel of either of those two squads. He's part and parcel of the Wattage Warlocks. But Bert Cahan, 5th. Bjarhead, 1st and 2nd. Millerstick, 2nd. They're part and parcel of the Goats squad. They took the win last month. The MyWhoosh Werewolves, Cam Winfield was 3rd this month. Theme, 2nd and 4th. Graves has had a 3rd. Coincidence had a 4th. Simon Walsh has not been in the top 5. They were 2nd last month, but they are on great form. Rule 5, Heaney's taken a win. Krasnich has had a 4th and a 5th. And let's not discount Mendakowitz's squad, those Wattage Warriors, because Holweiler, Darn, Oya, Mendakowitz and Von Haren are not to be sniffed at either. So I think there are 4 teams, if form is to go by, in the mix today in Category 2.
Interesting to see Al Case already on the attack. This is a man who doesn't need to follow the Velo Minardi Rule 5, which is harden the flip up, because Mohamed Al Case is a hard man in all senses of the word, a Iron Man, a paratrooper, a man who could probably kill you with just one stare. He's already out on the attack. He is in there, but it does depend on which Rule 5 you follow, because some of them say it is stop complaining. Other Rule 5s are, please make sure that you follow your correct positioning on the road and do not allow other motorists to bully you into a inferior position, depending on whether you believe Phil Game on the new rules of cycling, the Filuminati, the Velominati, or any other set of rules you have. My personal rules end with 3 because that's really good. That is ride lots, eat lots, sleep lots. Wow. I only have 3. Well, I could put coffee and ice cream as 4 and 5, but we'll see. Please do send your suggestions to @BikingEmma of what Rule 5 should be. Don't bother sending them to me because, as everybody knows, my numbers are not there. Now, 3 key riders, never mind 3 rules, 3 key riders on your screen. Van Hegombet and El Alami, the Wattage Warlocks in action. The Wattage Warlocks, Emma,
yes,
in terms of their performances in Category 2, Van Heat is a rider for me who's a great ruler. When it's hard, but you've got some really good sprints in there. Is today's climbing at the end not necessarily going to suit him? And maybe somebody like El Alami or Carradine, maybe the riders that are going to be in there for that team?
Well, interestingly, last time we were here on the Jebel Hafeet in Category 2, it was Koistinen from Betty, from X100, from Lyndon Mullerstick and Walter, who took the top 5.
Okay.
But I do agree with you. He is an all-rounder, and he could be good.
There we go. Well, let's see if Emma agrees whether or not which of these squads is going to be right up there. The Adrenaline Squad, Anders Bengston, Josh Wilson, Kel Power, Christoph Kroll, Ruben Dont. The Alpha Jaw Squad, Daniel Turek, Lionel Jesse, Michael Kaminsky, and Ollie Jones. Farm Watts Squad, Hayden Pucker, Johan Norum, Meko Plantero, and Zach Nair. Hartgard, Jason Osborne, Michael Nussensay, Safrazetti, and Stefan Van Els. No name needed. Arnie Jacobs, Linda Milostic, and Vidal Mer. The Wheel Whisperers, well, they're represented by Jakob Bjorkland, Josiah Betty, Ricardo Panizza, Seb Devet, and Todd Allen Young. We have got Quintero, Honda Trojanowski, and Al Thebe also on the start line. This is Category 1. This is our monthly final for August. We are away on the Sunday Race Club, who will be king of the mountain, who will be languishing on the lower slopes.
Well, for the last 2 months, it's been Hard to Guard who have taken the win. Can they make it 3 months in a row? The last time Alpha Jaw took the win was back in April. Are they back on form? Well, Vujasin has had a third this month. Jones has had a win and a third place. Kaminsky has yet to be in the top 5, and Turek neither. Now, in Hard to Guard, Osborne's had 2 wins and a third. Knudsen's had 2 fourths. Safrazadis had 2 seconds and a fifth. And Van Elst has had a second and a fourth and a fifth. If you are going by the result sheet, Hard to Guard have got to have it. Farm Watt squad, Puck has taken a fifth, Noran, Plantro and Nair. That's a good, strong squad.
I tell you something, I can guarantee Adrenaline will be in the top 5 teams.
Well, that's because there are 6 teams.
Yeah, but I reckon they'll be in the top 5.
Well,
I'm going to guarantee that.
I
because
don't doubt.
it's very hot. It's actually not that easy a pick, because you've 3 counters. And all the teams have at least 3 strong riders in there who could be right up there. And that makes it very difficult. Pressure on guys, Krull, Benston, Wilson and Daunt. No pressure much, honest, but I've now picked you as being in those top 5 teams. Don't let me down.
I don't think that's a hard... Oh, well, I was going to say I don't think that's a hard ask. It is a hard ask because it's a phenomenal group of riders in Category 1. But it is going to be a battle. But I think everyone is going to be looking at Hard to Guard.
Yep, Hard to Guard are the team. Osborne, Jason Osborne, a rider. He is... We've seen him in action. He's a rider, he's an Olympian. Now, I was lucky enough to be on the mic for the Olympics, and I did a lot of research and a lot of thinking about what it means to be an Olympian. And it's a very unique club to be an Olympian and to get a medal at the Olympics. We're going to see esports at the Cycling Olympics. If you had to pick a man who would be an Olympic medalist at the esports Olympics, he's surely got to be up there, because he's been right up there all the time.
No, I think it depends completely on the course.
Really?
I think Jason Osborne is dominant where we see big climbs. So the Heritage Climb last week, the Endurance Climb the week before, those are the 2 events he's won this month. And for me, he is so strong in that respect. But you put a different nature of a course. You put a short punchy course on, you put a course with sprints where they count for points. I don't think Jason Osborne is as strong as some of the other riders in those aspects. I mean, we've got Bjorklund, we've got Betty, and we've got Alanjung on the screen, the wheel whisperers at the moment. All of those riders have strengths. They might not be beating Jason Osborne on the endurance climb, but I can tell you something. Different courses suit different riders. And, other riders come to the fore where different skills are required.
Yep. It's a fair point. It is a fair point. I'm still not going to discount Mr. Osborne from being right up there, but we will see what format that takes. Now, Giselle Betty, the rider on our screen, the rider we just seen from Brazil.
I mean, I'm giggling on the other side of the studio because, of course, he hasn't been out of the top 5 in any esports world championship since they started.
No, which is one of the reasons why he's such a good pick. In fact, he's on our screens now. We just switched from Giselle Betty to Jason Osborne, a man. He for me does represent somebody who mixes road as well as indoor, 2 different disciplines, but with a lot of commonality. Rider who's very, very strong. He's going to be up against more specialist riders, people like Lionel Vujasin.
Well,
Vujasin, Kaminsky and co. They are so tough.
And Kaminsky, really interestingly, was absolutely dominant on the Sunday Race Club a couple of months ago, and now not quite so. And in fact, he's not had a top 5 this month. And I think the target there is definitely the World Championships. And that's what his mind's on. But I was just thinking, talking about rowing and road racing and mixing it. Our riders here mix all sorts of things. Johan Noren is a mountain biker. And he also climbs really well on the Sunday Race Club. We're in with Lyndon Minastick, a young rider from Australia who's not going to the World Championships because whilst he's technically qualified for the national squad, isn't old enough.
That's
which tells you
that's-
he's a junior rider. So phenomenal future, I think, for that young rider. Already part and parcel of the Category 1 scored as a junior. Well, we've gone through the Expo Sprint, and Ben Kirk saying the fastest time from Category 3. It was fast and furious on the front there, early doors. 20.127 seconds, but not far behind. Well, 1.8 seconds behind is Ruben Dont. We know Dont likes to go hard at the beginning of the race. Now he's up in Category 1. Walter Clays from Category 2, 2.192 seconds behind Kirk's time from Category 2. So a little bit of a mix in the top 3. Then it's the rest of that Category 3 pack chasing Kirk.
Indeed, Kirk, interestingly, that kick that he put in, we've seen him absolutely flying at the moment. We know he's a strong rider. 700 watts is his average watts through that sprint. That is a huge, that's a big old number for a rider who's in Category 3, but he is a strong rider. And I think if you're strong, you can put that power down in a short sprint. It's not going to play out when you're on the climb, though, is it?
I'm sorry. I was just watching Kaminsky with his phone, and I'm now watching Vujasin and Jones. Jones reached out, and I'm wondering whether Kaminsky is sending messages or adjusting the tunes in his ears.
No, I suspect he's sending a message to everybody else in the team. A lot of the teams do different conversations. We do get the question, how do the teams talk to each other? There's a variety of methods. Some teams will send a message, so they'll have, for example, a WhatsApp conversation on the go. More common, Discord as the low data option. It's a really easy low data option, and you can use a voice or you can send a message on that in the conversation. Some riders prefer to speak. Generally, when I'm racing, if I can talk, I'm not going hard enough. And I think then it is sometimes easier just to try and compose a message of some sort rather than put words together. But it does depend on your skills. More people prefer a voice message between the team. And setting that up on Discord is really, really easy and very, very accessible. I certainly know that's, oddly enough, how Emma likes to communicate is talking.
Definitely. And I don't mind hearing my teammates in my ears working hard because it makes me feel better working hard.
Well, that is the other thing. You've got to know how to turn the mic on and off. Now, the teammates in Category 4 have shed plenty of riders already. They're leading the group with SS Tortoretto, Smith and Rooney, Lee, West, Carvajal in there, Justin Roy in that group. All at the front of the race. 17.8k covered. Henry East at the moment just chasing Spratt down, 2 riders clear by 13 seconds of the group. You can just see Spratt coming into sight. East just at the back wheel here. Category 3 at the moment are making the way in at 15.6k in towards the Aquarium climb. Through the roundabout, out the other side, and then take a left-hand turn. 15.8k covered. 9k covered for the riders in the green. Those are our Category 2 group. It's one big bunch. Category 1 are about to come down into the... Now, this is a really, really key moment here. Category 1 on the way down. They're going to be up the other side. Let's see how the riders go when they are coming out the other side. Let's show you what they're racing for. It's time to look at what is at stake today and the biggest prize fund in esports. So here we go. Category 4, our standard level category. If you win today, individually, 2,160 AED. If you win the team competition, it's 10,800 AED for your team. Remember, teams are 3 to 5 people. Minimum 3 to count, maximum 5 in your team. The team competition coming in today because it is the final. In Category 4, good prizes. Even better in Category 3 because we move up 3,600 for the win and 18,000 for the win in the individual and team classifications respectively. And the 5th place prizes lifting as well. When we go from Category 3 and we move to Category 2, we then move up again. 6,000 AED for the win individually this time round and 30,000 AED. So if you're a team of 3, that's 10,000 AED each in Category 2. In addition, because if you've won the team, the odds are you've got somebody up in the top 5 as well. It could be a good payday. Not as good, though, as the payday in Category 1. 5th place, 2,000. 4th place, 4,000. 3rd place, 6,000. 2nd place, 8,000. And for the win in individually, 10,000 AED. In the team competition, 5th, 5,000. 4th, 10,000. 3rd, 20,000. 2nd, 30,000. And 1st place is 50,000 AED. I'm going to say that again. 50,000 AED. That is a substantial amount of money for the team riders in that team competition. Who is going to be in there at the moment? We're on the climb out. We did say we'd come back to them as they go up the climb. The attacks are on. Zach Nair and Christoph Kroll with Trojanski looking like he's in touching distance as they keep on powering up here. So at the moment they're on the way up. Now, we are going to jump across to Emma's Exchange whilst the action is on.
And we're going to Poland. Trojanowski, Kaminski and Kroll. Well, 10,000 AED in Polish zloty, 10,358 for the winner as of Emma's Exchange today. And if one of our riders part and parcel of the winning team, it'll take away 51,927 Polish zloty.
Say those numbers again. So 10,000 AED is
10,358 Polish zloty.
And 50,000 AED?
51,927. It's nearly a match.
It's nearly a match. That's probably the closest match we have had between the Polish zloty and the AED.
No, between any currency.
In any currency of any description. It is very, very close indeed. Category 1, Kaminski in that. I tell you, I was looking at that thinking, that's a strong esports squad.
It would be,
a national esports squad. That's a good
I'll
squad
just
to
tell
have.
you, could you just imagine, those riders, guess where they may well be in less than 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, in Abu Dhabi.
No! 2
no,
weeks' time,
2
not
weeks'
2
time.
months.
Oh, yeah, they'll be on the semi-finals, but they will be in their own pain caves.
They will.
I wouldn't put them past any of them getting to the finals, to be brutally
No,
honest.
I agree.
So, Category 1, Michael Kaminski, left-hand side of your screen, right-hand side of your screen, SS on the attack, the leading group coming in through on that right-hand side. Now, in Category 2, looks like Phil Grace is up to his old tricks of trying to attack the rest of the group and make this a little bit tougher long-term. 12.3k covered. This is a bit of dead ground, realistically, between the RAK sprint and the run into the aquarium climb. Make it tough here, and you can make it tough for the rest of the riders. The chasing group has fractured under the pressure coming in from Phil Grace. Mr. X100 looks like he has been on the answer. So has Olivier Simmons. So is Christoph Thiem. So is Maciej Mendakowicz and Jonas Bjarhed. That would be an incredibly strong group if they all got together and formed around Phil Graves. But I think it's almost too strong. There are too many big names in there who all have a vested interest in getting there at the front. And the problem will be that they won't want to tow anybody else in that group.
Well, and the chase will be on from behind because the teams will just send riders down the road to pick them back because there's no way they are going to let that group go.
I wouldn't. I think it's just way too dangerous. You just cannot afford to give them a second on course. That would just be, an absolute nightmare because you know that you've got a heck of a job just to try and close them down.
Well, Simmons just disappeared off our screen there. He's right in front of us, at least his avatar is, right on the wheel of El Alami and Mendakowicz. They are motoring at the moment, spread in one long line on the waterfront. And Thiem, Bjarhed, Mendakowicz, Graves, all right at the front. The chase on behind. Gomber coming to the fore. Vanhee is there as well. So is Fawcett. Ross Fawcett 2 seconds back. There's a bit of a gap. They can't let that gap go.
No, let it go. Have to chase on, have to get into the wind, have to work to pull that gap back down. That is going to be really, really difficult indeed. Certainly not something that is going to make life easy. Now, Bjarhed at the moment in this group. Jonas, a regular strong rider on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club at the moment, looking incredibly strong here today. Is this going to be the way that the riders are going to play out today? Constantly attacking, constantly putting the moves in. We've got a little bit of a bump on the way in to the main climb. This next little riser could be enough to break this group open. The pressure well and truly on everybody on limit. You can see Jonas Bjarhead here tapping out a rhythm. They are setting the pace that the rest of the riders are having to dance to, and this is going to be very, very difficult indeed for the riders behind. Meanwhile, going over the top, just dropping back down again on this rolling section, of course. Category 1 still together. They are heading into our next sprint, the IK sprint. I think it's the next one down the road, if I remember correctly, out on course. You can see that banner in front of our riders.
I can see the banner indeed, and this pack rolling very tightly together. Pucker Van El, Safrazadi, Panizza, Kroll, Bjorklund, Power, all in the mix there. Now, Stefan Van Els, for me, Matt, has been having a phenomenal month at the moment on superb form. Van Els part and parcel of that hard-to-guard squad. Now, we talked a little bit earlier on about how the rest of the teams are going to respond to what have been a very dominant squad for the last 2 months. Thinking about tactics. Well, I'm talking about tactics as we just see. I bet that's Dont just pushing on through the sprint.
It is. Yeah, good call.
Well, talking about tactics, what would your thoughts be if you were on one of those other 5 teams about how you take this race to hard to guard?
First things first, look at what the hard to guard strengths are. Second,
Everything.
work out what your... Well, no, it's not. Second, look at your strengths. And then third, look at the weak links in the group, in the team. Look at how you break... Don't think about necessarily breaking the winner, their strongest rider. Take riders numbers 3 and 4. They've got 4 riders in there, and see which one you can break. Now, it might be that if you make the race hard from the word go, that their 3rd or 4th rider can't stay with the pace. Put an injection of pace in through the sprint. We can see here Ruben Don at the RAK sprint attacking through there. Get your team up there, attack, and then do a team time trial away from the group there, and put the pressure on so that one of the other riders can't stay up there. When you've got Osborne, Knudsen, Safrazadi and Van Els, the chinks in their armour are few and far between. But nobody is invulnerable, and if you put the right tactics in, you've got a chance of doing that. What would I do to take them out? I'm not going to say that publicly on air because that is very mean, but I know...
I didn't ask you what you do to take them out. I asked you what you do to beat them.
You have to do that, okay, to beat them. But to do that, you have to study what is their strengths, what are the weaknesses, and at what point in the racing. Every rider, if you go back and watch the Sunday Race Club for the last however many months, you watch the riders, every rider has a point at which they struggle. Now, if you were in American football, if you're in soccer, if you are in ice hockey, if you're in athletics, you study form. You watch the videos of the competition, you watch what they're doing, and you look for ways to beat them, particularly in a team competition. So you would study that. Our riders need to start taking that level up. And if you're in a team, yes, you could just ride with a nice joie de vivre and ride totally free and easy and work out, do it all on the fly. Or you can be super smart and you can watch back. You can follow a rider through the racing, video it on a device, and then look at where their weaknesses, where are they struggling, which gradient. Certain riders are great. Long climb, I can think of a rider, great long climb, average 5.1%, they're going to be fine. The moment it goes to 7%, off the back they've gone. That's it, game over. And that's the moment you attack. You don't attack on the 5% they're strong on, you race your strengths.
And it's and I think this is very critical. It's about the team and racing the team and the team tactics, not necessarily racing individuals.
Whereas I would be picking on the weakest person in the team of the third person, definitely.
Oh, I disagree with that. Anyway, Ivan Newkey is on the bike on the screen at the moment, and part and parcel of that Abu Dhabi Cycling Club. And if you follow Ivan Newkey's feed on Instagram, you'll see he's regularly out there coaching riders and putting in phenomenal performances on the bike himself as well. So Newkey there with El Alami, Koinston, Thiem, Sanchez, Squilari. It's a big pack of Category 2 riders. They're 17 kilometres into this race. They're well and truly on the Aquarium climb, which is the first of the 2 categorised climbs today on the Jebel Hafeet racecourse.
So the riders on the way up on the climb in Category 2 in with Mr. X 100 at the moment. Will today be the day that he opens up the throttle and solos away? Is he going to be able to stay clear as these riders make the way through? It's going to be all about what happens on this climb initially. So as you can see, this group, Alex Heaney and his shedding riders one by one off the back of the group. Fadel Al Hagta in the group from the Al Wathba QTR squad, the Qatari squad. Riders from many nations in there: Qatar, Uganda, Colombia, Bahrain, the UK and Brazil, all represented by the riders. Al Hagta from Qatar, though, up on the front of this group. They're setting the pace, and you can see making sure you're getting plenty of oxygen in, keeping that breathing smooth. And that's something I think that's easier when you're sat on the turbo trainer and you're indoors, is thinking about the things that make a difference. That because you're not thinking about the external factor, you're not worrying about whether there's some gravel on the road or there's a pothole or that, you know, you're coming into a fast descent where you've got to watch your speed. You can think about the things that make a difference: breathing, pedal stroke, equal, making sure both legs are working, activating all the muscle groups early on in the racing, making sure that you actually are watching the competition, watching the watts, making sure you're getting the data in. You can focus on all that. You can't do that when you're outdoors. And I think for me that suits some riders. Are using that time really wisely, focusing on one thing, getting that right, moving on to another, and breathing one of them.
Absolutely, breathing, absolutely crucial. And, well, okay, breathing is absolutely crucial, because if you weren't breathing, you'd have a massive problem. But it is also crucial in terms of managing your heart rate. You know, proper breathing focus during a race can bring your heart rate down, and there are times when that is absolutely critical. Now, Oviedo, Nuki and Al Qatar, they're part and parcel of that Al Wathba QTR Pro squad. Interesting to see also Niall Batty, part and parcel of that team, coming up from Category 3 after such a phenomenal month, taking 2 wins. He took the win in qualifier 1 on the Paso Alto, and he took the win in qualifier 2 on the endurance climb. Phenomenal climber coming up through into Category 2. Going to be really interesting to see how he goes. Part and parcel of that Al Wathba QTR Pro squad.
Yep, Ahata at the bottom of the screen, Nuki in the middle, and Oviedo up on top. All right, I wonder if Ivan Nuki is coaching them and chatting to them. Heard
I
him,
think he's the team road captain.
Well, when you see him out coaching at the Abu Dhabi Cycling Club, he's there, he's giving it, he's communicating with the riders, he's telling them, come on now, pick it up, this is really good, this is where you go. That, when you watch a good coach, they're really positive, they're giving loads of really positive encouragement. They're not going, oh, you could have tried harder there. They're going, oh, it's an amazing performance. This is what we want to see. You're doing really well. Just let's keep pushing. Come on, this is great. Keep doing what you're doing. It's good. That's what you want. You want that. And he's one of those coaches. If he was doing that in a team in my ears, racing on the course today, I'd be pulling out something special. Wow. For sure.
There you go. Very motivational, at least. I have to say, watching some of that feed and that footage, a great coach to have, and putting his pedals where his encouragement is. While on the main screen, we're in with Category 1, and you can see they're at 16.4 kilometres. They've just gone underneath the polka dot banner, signifying the start of the aquarium climb, and there it is on the screen. Right up on the top right hand corner of your screen, you can see the gradient of that climb that they are facing. It's currently 5.5%, and it goes upwards and onwards. Well, upwards and onwards, they've been racing for 23 minutes. We're in with Safra Zadie, Betty Allenjean, Trojanowski, Panizza. In fact, there is Safra Zadie in the room with the trophies and the medals behind him. He's a phenomenally consistent rider, and very, very strong out on the road as well.
Yeah, a rider I would like to have on the team. If you were picking a team, he would definitely be a rider you would want there, because he's a rider who's strong in all sorts of places. That, you're having a bad day, you need somebody to pull that brake back. You're going to be like, come on, say this now, let's go. And he would work, and he'd give it everything, because he's one of those riders. And you could ask him that on a climb, on a descent, on chasing a break, on the attack. just a really good all-round rider. There's no one particular terrain that, for me, suits him. I think he's just a great all-rounder.
Well, I do think you are quite correct, but he is surrounded by really, really strong riders. Trojanowski, Wilson, Allion, Pucker, Nair. Really interesting to see those two together and on the same team, Pucker and Nair, because obviously Nair coaches Pucker.
Yeah, what's going to happen? It's going to be one of those things. Every time Pucker beats Nair, Nair's going to be like, really pleased he's beating me because I coach him, but I'm not very pleased he's beating me because he still beat me. That's one of those awkward positions as a coach you get put in. But I mean, who better than to coach? There's somebody who can walk the walk and talk the talk, and he's right up there as well. Somebody who's taking victory in a MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. So Hayden Pucker from the United States of America, a rider. I'm sure he's going to the World Championships, isn't he? So what, to the semi-finals?
Yes. He did indeed qualify, so we will be seeing him there. But this pack at the moment is where we're seeing him. And Betty, Safarizadeh, Van Elst, Trojanowski, Pucker are all in the mix. Ollie Jones is there as well, so is Mikel Plantro. Now, if you were following his social media feed, he had a full 7 days off the bike recently.
Good lad.
I know, that's what I thought. And sometimes you do need that to reset not just your body, but your mind as well. And keeping your head in the right place, absolutely crucial, as well as keeping your body physically fit. Well, Ivo Sur is chasing hard at the moment. He's one of the riders off the back of the group in Category 2, and I'm not surprised. At 21.5 kilometres, they're now nearly halfway into this race. They are moving towards the Silent Dunes sprint and heading towards the Jebel Hafeet. Now, that doesn't come till 34.5 kilometres into the race. There's still some significant distance to go, and not the pack at the front of this Category 2 race. It's like a who's who of Category 2. Birkin, Khan, Kayan, Kowalski, Fawcett, X100, Harvey, Simmons. They are 10 seconds up the road from Ivo Sur, but that 10 seconds must feel almost insurmountable when you have been dropped off of that group.
When you've gone, you've kind of gone, and that's the problem, isn't it? You get distanced. You know that the pack are in the draft. You know that's where you need to be. Ron Fawcett on our screens. He's actually indoors for a change. You could see him out and riding, currently in the United Kingdom at the moment, in that Stolen Goat kit there. The Stolen Goat rider. Very distinctive kit from Stolen Goat. Had the pleasure of seeing some of their riders on the National Criterium Series in the UK that we were on the mic for here at Full Speed Invest. In fact, we support a lot of those events and help make those happen in a small way, as well as putting words to the action part of Support the Sport, something that we do quite extensively across these sports and lots of other sports, and making sure that we get more and more riders with bums on saddles. And there's more events, more races, and more things happening. So really good to see lots of people do that. Good to see Mr. X100 in here, out and riding in that Category 2, a keen supporter of cycling and very much in action at the moment in that polka dot skin suit. 23.3k covered, over half race distance over the first big climb. Dropped off the other side. We now have the climb upcoming. This is the attacking point for me, where you can really do some damage. Anybody who hasn't recovered from the big climb is going to be in trouble. So Category 1 on the left, coming towards the summit of the climb. Expect to see that final acceleration from Justin Kroll, Else Power and Co. They are going up to the top. This is where you can do damage. One rider dropped off the back of the group. We're going to try and keep an eye on who that is as we go over the top, who's out of contention. But as they go up to the top of the aquarium climb, it's going to be a lead through from Van Elster. He may well have done enough to get himself that polka dot skin suit. Have a look. It's Knudsen. So I think Knudsen must have just started just that little bit further back as they came up and through a big group of riders there, Emma, but nothing really to split the guys at the top.
No, absolutely not. Now, really interesting, Michael Knudsen and Stefan Van Elst, the two riders from Hardguard 1 and 2 on the aquarium climb. They were 1 on 2 on this course last time we were on the Jebel Hafeet, back in qualifier 2 in May. Now, the aquarium climb, 5 minutes 25 seconds, and you can see there a full contingent of Category 1 riders. In fact, that Category 1 pack, 24 riders strong.
24 riders strong, and the rider who has been distanced is Josiah Betty of the Wheel Whisperers. Now, that could be telling for them, because the Wheel Whisperers started with 5. Björklund, Betty, Benitza, De Velde, and Alan Jung. They've lost one out the back of that group.
Shall I give you the riders in the leading group
Go
in
for it.
Category 1? So Knudsen, Van Elst, Power, Vujasin, Nair, Dvert, Osborne, Dont, Kaminsky, Krull, Björklund, Jacobs, Jones, Trosjanowski, Pocker, Safrazadi, Alan Jung, Noren, Mayer, Turek, Panizza, Wilson, Plantero, and Millerstick are indeed the riders in the leading Category 1 group.
And will we see Category 1 do the same as we're seeing Category 2? Category 1 over the top of the Aquarium climb. They drop down that long descent and then they go across the flatlands and into this section of the climb. This is Ross Fawcett. He put in the dig there. They have really put the pressure on the group, but it is not split. Mr. X100 goes into the front. He's the fastest climber in that polka dot skin suit, but you can see that there are riders just struggling to close the gaps down. They're not able to do it instantaneously. Nuki very quickly onto the wheel of X100. Theme up there, Bjarhead up there. If you're at the back of this group, you're going to have to keep pushing for a lot longer. It levels out, and then we see another kick again. This is really, really key for these riders. You've got to be in it to win it, and 2 riders at least now have suffered on that climb. They're going to be out of the running. If this pack eases, though, they are close enough to get back, so it's going to be about who wants it more, who wants the gap to close, who wants the gap to stay open, how many riders do they want to bring down. So Category 2 at the moment over the top of the climb. We've got a little kicker coming as they go up and round the bend. Their top right hand side of our screen is now second screen down in the green. We've got riders, though, from 22 leading groups from 22.3k all the way to 32.7, now 32.8 kilometers in Category 4. So Category 1 in yellow, 2 in green, 3 in blue, and Category 4 in red. Well into the race in all of the leading groups, over half race distance now into the second half in terms of distance, if not time.
Well, and take a look at that. Category 4 at 32.9 kilometres, coming up to that 33. There you go, 33 kilometre mark. They've got 1,500 metres now to go till they get to the base of the Jebel Hafeet. They're going to be the first riders out of the start pen today and the first riders onto the Jebel Hafeet today. Well, Ivan Nuki and X100, the 2 riders at the front of this Category 2 pack, and take a look at the damage done on that rise, on that climb coming up here at 25.9 kilometres. They're coming up, they're over the top, and they're onto the flat section. You can see that on the top right-hand corner of your screen, and the damage now being done to that group in the Category 2 race. It was 33 riders. It's not anymore. It's still a big group, but it's not 33.
And that damage being done, Fawcett choosing, it's not the obvious climbs. It's not necessarily those that are signed in red. It's the dip and the rise that we saw at 8k. Because Category 2 is so competitive, you've got to go hard at the best opportunities, and they are not always the ones that are marked. Everyone knows the Aquarium climb is going to be hard. Everybody knows that Jebel Hafeet is hard. But if you can do damage coming on the climb after the Aquarium climb in these lumps and the rising and rolling sections, we've got a section as you come in to our final sprint. There's a real bumpy little section before it that you can just start to really do a bit more damage, and that's what's happened. We've seen the groups go off the back. At the moment, they've got to try and get back on. It is going to be tough stuff for anybody who is chasing. This is the chase group. So you can see at the moment Al-Haita Mathiasen, Kowalski in there, as well as Peter Milostic. These 4 riders need to get it together and get it together quick. They have got a run where we've got a little bit of a run down now, but the power of the pack is going to be doing damage. It's going to be opening that gap up, I suspect, 20 seconds of distance from this group to the front.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it, that the power of the pack and how the pack rolls, absolutely crucial. It's not just about your climbing skills that are key to winning this race. Well, in this pack, this is the Category 4 pack. They are the leading pack, and just round the corner, there it is. That's the polka dot banner signifying the start of the Jebel Hafeet today, and it's Kalangad, SS, Dadson Lee, Smithson, West, Connell and Rusinek. Cadabona is there as well. So is Alex West. Mark Mark Dadson now comes to the fore. This is going to be interesting because this has been a very, very tight Category 4 pack, and very, very shortly it's going to get very, very steep.
This first kicker in, once we go through underneath the banner, it is steep. 13% is kind of steep. The sort that makes your legs scream with pain, your lungs burn, and everything in between hurt. This is where you've got to be in. You've got to answer any moves that's made. If there's a strong climber kicks now, you've got to make a very quick decision. Chase, stay with them, or take your time coming back on a less steep section. This is going to suit the lighter riders who've got that great power to weight ratio, not necessarily the pure watts to win a sprint, but that can climb. And it's a real mix of riders because this is relatively short. We're at 10% already. Ben Lee on the front, really winding this up. Cadabona, Rusinek, SS, Callinger, Connell, West, Francis, all in the mix here, all chasing hard at the moment. It levels a little bit. It's going to kick again. And these riders know that they have got to be there. At the moment, the gap just opening up behind the riders. You've got a chance to get on. It's not long. The window is open. You've got to jump through it. It's going to shut soon, and we're going to be on another steep section. If you were distanced before, you're going to get distanced again. You cannot afford for that to happen. Well, Category 4 on the climb.
13 riders in that Category 4 pack within 2 seconds of the leader. Well, this is currently the race in Category 2. They're at 28.9 kilometres, and this small rise at the moment. Simmons, X100, Newkey, Theme, Fawcett pushing on, wanting to keep the pace strong. Now we saw the rider distance off the back, still off the back, and there is indeed that single rider in between two groups.
That's Peter Milostich, I think.
Well, we saw 30.
Not certain on that.
We saw 33 riders in a very large group in Category 2. We've seen that split into two groups, and one rider just hanging in the middle of those two groups now. But Fawcett, Theme, Newkey, X100, Simmons pushing on at the front in that Category 2 race.
Category 3 and 4 on your screens. The Category 3 rider is Francis Pino. He is the rider at the moment who's absolutely motoring his way up here in Category 3. We saw him on the attack. We saw Spratt in action, Angarita, Kansara and co. And we saw Pino in amongst them in those sprints. He was up there on that climb as we came up the roundabout climb. He broke clear there and it looks like nobody's answering Francis Pino. Pino is a rider who we know can sprint. With no surprises to see him up here at the Aquarium climb in the leading group. He is doing a great job at the moment for his team here, and that is the Pro Beginner squad: Cardona, Elos, Pino, Orrego and Amaro. They are your riders on the squad for Pro Beginner. They're more pro than beginner, I have to say.
Well, they are indeed, as Pino goes into the climb first, but he's just got 8 seconds on that chasing group, which is not long at all. And take a look, that is the chasing group. It's a big, big group of Category 3 riders, and the class is really in there. Angarita is there, Smythe, Guarin, Kansara, Elos, Didutch. All of these riders I would expect right to be near the front of the race. Daniel Cadiz is in there as well. Strong climbers in the mix, and I think we could well see Pino being brought back in.
Ooh, I hate to say this, Francis, sorry mate, but yeah, I can see him being brought back in. I think for somebody who is a great ruler, a sprinter and a climber, but not a specialist climber, you need minutes coming into this climb because it is so long. Let's have a little sort of reflect back on that climb, Emma, that we're coming into. It's a long climb. It's relatively consistent, but the steep bits are steep, 13%. Now, it averages out at 7%. When you've got 13% in there, you know there's leveling off. You know that there's steps in there. As somebody who is very good at judging their effort and setting their pace, what would your tactic be here in terms of pacing? Would you ride with anybody else? Would you follow anybody else's pace here, or would you solely set your own tempo?
You're asking the type of rider who blows on one heartbeat.
Okay, explain.
So in fact, I think we might be able to see the profile on the course as well. But my view very much is, as for me personally as a rider, I can ride at a set heart rate for a very, very long period of time. My preference is to ride on my heart rate, not on my power. Different riders do different things and race different tactics and can.
So, well, let's have a look. Let's put this into context then, Emma. You ride on your heart rate. This is the course profile. We have the course profile at the end. We hit the climb. You can see it's stepped at the bottom. Then there's 3 long sections, and then it's bumpy at the top. Those long sections, I guess, easier to judge when you're right on your heart rate. When you go over the top, your heart rate, I guess, would drop.
Not necessarily. You know, the effort and the length of time you have been racing is always going to make a difference. And the fact that you've got these step sections, you've got, a really steep kicker and then I'm almost going to call it a false flat, because, it's not really flat. It's not as steep. And then it goes again and kicks. And you've got lag on your heart rate as well in terms of the effort. So you're not automatically going to get to a flat section and your heart rate drop.
So the time delay, because your heart rate is still working hard after you flatten out, and then you're going into the next steep section. When we see the far right-hand side of the screen at the moment on that profile, there's a lot more level and a lot less steep, and then we've got that drop coming in. Making the judgment on pace there when you've been climbing for so long is even harder, partly because of oxygen debt.
Well, it is, but also you have to make the most. If you are right at the front, you've got to make the most of the momentum that you can carry off that downhill. Because, I know for a fact, and I also know some of our riders, you see them get to the top of the climb and they get out of the saddle and they sprint and they've still got a sprint. That is not me. I've always been very jealous of a rider who can do that. I get out the saddle at the top of a 15-kilometre climb to sprint and I go, I'll sit back down again.
Yeah. And we do see that. We've seen people do that on this climb regularly, where people have gone to sprint and lost that power. Now, I'm just taking a little bit of a look across. Ruben Dont at the moment on the attack in Category 1 on the left of your screen, clear of a small bunch. On the right-hand side of your screen, Category 2, it's not a mirror image, just a slightly different colour bunch behind. Both of our sprint leaders, the people who've picked up the most points in the sprints on the way through, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 points in each of the sprints. The total of those points give them those green skin suits. It does not count towards their points in terms of money prizes that you saw earlier on in the show. It is purely a means to attack. It's a way to see who's going where. We use it as a snapshot, a window in on the world of Sunday Race Club, to take a little bit of a slide out and put it under the microscope so that we can see that detail. We're going to need to look at a bigger picture, though, because Categories 2 and 1 are fast approaching the climb, where Categories 3 and 4 on the bottom of your screen are currently climbing. The leaders on the road are Category 4 at the moment, 37.2k. They are 900 metres up the road from this big chasing group in blue. The Category 4 leaders are your leaders on the road. Category 3 chasing just behind. 3k further back, Category 2, it's still another big group chasing a lone leader. Category 1, I think Mr. Dont has been reeled in, and we have got our lead group back together, albeit a slightly smaller group than we started the day with.
And 7 kilometres separating Category 1 from Category 4. Category 4, the first riders out of the start pen. We started 20 minutes before Category 1, and they are still the leaders on the road at the moment. They are around 800 metres ahead of Category 3, who started 5 minutes behind them.
So the riders with the climb to finish here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, the monthly finals. My name's Matt Payne. I'm here in the studio with Emma Martin. You can get a hold of us at Matt Fix Payne and at Biking Emma. Whilst you're online, though, don't just follow us. I mean, we'd love you to, but don't just follow us. Follow MyWhoosh. It's at MyWhoosh on Instagram and on Facebook. Give our riders a follow, because for them, all of the support, a bit like us, and for MyWhoosh, the more you support us, the more we can do of entertaining you, bringing you all of the racing. So please do give me a follow at Matt Fix Payne, at Biking Emma. All right, let's give Olivier Simmons a follow. And, oh, who've got this? Now, here we go. breakaway is the charm. Third breakaway is the charm. We will see if that's going to be the case. Olivier Simmons with the board on there. Fantastic,
please tell me he had that ready to go and that this was the plan, because that would be superb.
Come on,
Olivier Simmons.
Yep, definitely. A touch of the Bob Dylan's or the Christmas film with Hugh Grant and with
Love Actually.
Love Actually. That's the one where you hold up the piece of paper for the camera and it says something on the camera rather than I'm holding up something to the camera.
And the production team can't read it.
The production screen can't read it because it was upside down, thank goodness. So the riders on the climb. Will Olivier Simmons make this breakaway the charm? Will he be able to go clear all the way to the summit? Do you know what? He's a rider who's good enough to do that.
He is,
and
absolutely.
It won't take much hesitation by this group for them to make a mistake and let him go. I hate to say that on air, but it's true. He is that strong and he is that capable, but he needs it to play to
Well, he's
him.
also got a fabulous squad around him, because part and parcel of Rule 5, Heaney has taken a win this month. Harvey Krasnich has had a 4th and a 5th, and Ross Fawcett is there, who is coming back into form.
Yeah, a man that we should never really discount.
No, not at all. So for me, he's got a great squad around him. They're going to be watching the rest of the riders. They're going to be marking. They're going to be managing the pack. The question is, how well can they manage the pack?
We're going to find out. Mr. X100 tucked in the centre of this group in that polka dot skin suit as the best climber to date. One categorised climb, the aquarium climb. Covered already. He took maximum points in the fastest time up there in category 2. He will want to hold on to the polka dot skin suit. He'll want to be right at the front of the race, but at the moment the chase is on. The group is spread out. We are losing riders off the back already, and we are going to be closing down on our race leader. I can see at least 7 if not 8 riders already in trouble in category 2.
They are indeed, and we've got at the front, so Simmons 1 second off the front, Graves, Ospina, Coiston and Cam Winfield. Now there's a young rider just back from road racing in Italy, back onto the Sunday Race Cup for a couple of weeks, and was right in the mix last week, finished in 3rd place behind Mendakowicz and Bjarhead on the Heritage Climb. So Winfield back in the mix, but Nuki, Fawcett, Van Hee and Gromberg all in the mix as well. These riders really in the pack and watching the action, really paying close attention now. The gradient at 10.6%. This is steep and you can see the stretch. There they've got Marcus Brito, the red jersey. They're just about to go straight over the top of Brito, the category 4 rider who started 15 minutes ahead of them.
It's like being run over by a herd of wildebeest, that.
Well,
you just sat there, you're riding up, and then it's just like, as they all come charging past you. I mean, it's a horrible feeling when you're having a day when riders come past, but they are category 2 riders. They are motoring, they are in full-on race mode. They are currently in fight, not flight, and at the moment they are fighting to stay in contention to close down on the leaders up at the front of the race. They are our category 4 riders on the right-hand side of your screen. Tim Connell, SS West in the lead. They're your leaders. They're on the right.
I had this terrible desire to tell Ross Fawcett to return the stolen goat.
Oh dear, that's the worst joke you've ever told on
I
the
know,
Sunday
which
Race
is why
Club.
I didn't do it when he was on the screen. Well, category 4, we've got SS West and Connell. 3 riders now clear while Matt digs a hole and goes and falls into it in the studio.
I'm trying to chase the tumbleweed.
SS West and Connell absolutely motoring up the climb here. They've got 25 seconds on the chasing group, and it is a chasing group because Cadabona, Smithson, Carvajo and Francis are all together behind with Justin Roy. So 3 riders clear in category 4 at the head of this race at the moment, with a pack chasing hard.
So here we go. We're coming in towards the final 5K. A little while for category 4. They're the leaders on the road. Meanwhile, you can see that the Category 1 riders, the leaders, are coming in to the polka dot banner. At the moment, there's a 4-second gap here. And Mikel Plantero and Ruben Don, whilst they might be up at the front of the race, I wouldn't say they were really pushing on there. That looked to me more of a considered roll away, and I think maybe just by accident almost were up at the front.
Considered roll away?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody rolls away from Jason Osborne, Stefan Van Elst, and Lionel Vujassin and Vidal Mayer.
You do if people are just taking that breather. You know, you're coming into a big climb. You know it's going to be hard to eat or drink on the climb. Simultaneously, without prompting, all the rest of the bunch take hold of a gel, have a swig of the water bottle. They just ease off the pedals. You're one of the only people who don't. You keep that pace rolling. That's enough just to roll away from the front.
Well, this is a big group of Category 1 riders at 35 kilometres. They've got 10 kilometres to go. Plantero, Jones, Van Elst. De Wert is in there as well. Nair, Knudsen, Vujassin, Safrazadi and Kroll. It's going to be a cracking climb up the Jebel Hafeet for Category 1. They're the last group of riders on to the slopes. All other 3 race categories are there already. And, well, Category 4 are 4.1 kilometres further up the climb. They are still the leaders on the road. Category 3 are chasing hard. They're still 600 metres behind. But you can see the leaders, SS West and Connell, 3 riders in Category 4, clear further up the Jebel Hafeet. But the gaps are already starting to form in this Category 1 pack. It was a huge group of Category 1 riders going into the base of the climb. And Van Elst, Vujassin, Safrazadi, De Wert, Osborne and Plantero are right at the front of the leading group.
Let's see if Safrazadi can stay in this front group. Is Osborne going to go long range? Is he going to go intercontinental? We're going to see if he's going to make his way in and through. This is going to be absolutely key. The next few moments out on the climb. Who has got the pace? Who has got the power? Who can keep clear? And who is going to be able to keep this nailed as they go? The pressure's on. The stretch is coming. We're seeing riders being distanced.
Well, we had 24 riders go into the base of the climb together in Category 1. We now have 13 riders in the leading group, and the rest of those riders, all 9 of them smattered down the hillside behind them. You can see on the bottom left-hand corner of the main screen where those riders are positioned, but currently positioned. Stefan Van Elst is in his pain cave. He's up and out of the saddle, and he's tapping on those pedals. He always looks so comfortable, Matt.
He always looks focused. He always looks cool, calm and collected. He's always wearing the kit. He's on message with the team behind as well. Professional is how he looks to me.
He does
pro.
Indeed.
Very pro.
And professional is his performance and his finishing positions, because he is absolutely been on form over the last few weeks. So Stefan Van Elst pushing at the front of this Category 1 race. Vujassin, Osborne and Safrazadi marking his wheels. On the right hand side of your screen, it's X100, Sanchez and El Halami. Nuki is there as well as Heaney. This Category 2 leading pack, well, they are still a huge group.
It is. It's absolutely massive. You would want to have less. It's just straightforward.
It is our biggest race field. 48 riders on the start sheets today in Category 2. And we regularly talk about Category 2 riders being so well matched.
Yeah, huge, big numbers, all very close in terms of performance, in terms of power, in terms of and it can come down to what's the course profile, what is the type of slope, what is the type of climb that you're faced with, what sort of time are you going to be on that climb. That is really, really critical for our riders. At the moment, you can see this big, long climb that takes us from 34.5k up to the finish of the Jebel Hafeet. It's tough stuff. Whatever category our riders are racing in Category 3, we are in with Marvin Angarita at the moment, and that looks like he's got the cap on. He's certainly suffering at the moment, breathing hard. Nice casquette, plain, white, black stripe. Full marks, no matter how well you do in the competition for the climb, it's the best cap of the day.
Well,
Best
whilst
casquette.
Matt is looking at the casquettes and picking his favourite, the riders are absolutely giving it their all on the climb at the moment. And Matheson, Kowalski, Alcase and Squilari are here pushing on. Zach Peterson is just closing the gap down onto the back of this group. This is one of the groups in the Category 2 race. They're pushing on at the moment, currently at 37.4 kilometres in this 45-kilometre race. And an hour exactly has elapsed since they started the race. Oh, there is still some way to go.
There is a great shot in here of the avatars here out of the saddle, stamping down on those pedals, making sure that they climb this mountain as fast as they can. This a undulating section. You can see the gradient easing and then kick it again. 14.5 on this right hand turn as you come in and around. It's going to be doing damage to all of our riders, irrespective of where they are, right up at the front of the race. So Nuki is in the mix here with Ken. Both Khan and Bert Ken are climbing well together. Sanchez in there, Mr. X100, Jonas Bjerre, Cam Winfield, the rider who is struggling to hold the wheels at the moment and in the danger zone. Winfield now at 3 seconds. He has to respond. Tatu Koistonen just being distance behind him. But look at Cam Winfield here. He really has to fight to get on the wheels. He knows he wants to be in that mix, not just to be in the top 5 for the individual competition, but for his team as well. And these are the moments when you really, really regret saying yes to a team, when you know that your performance could be the difference to your team. He's absolutely stamping on those pedals. Every second will count, and he knows he's got to make it to the top. He's got 6.5 kilometers left to go of this climb to get to our finish line. He is currently at 38.5k, 100 meters up the road. Mr. X100 starting to get wound up on the front of this group as he comes in round. This is a climb that he knows well. This is a climb he's been racing on for years.
Well, 3 riders from the Goats squad in the leading group in Category 2. The Kayan brothers, Burke and Khan, along with Jonas Bjarhed, all of them in the mix at the moment at the front of that Category 2 race, putting the Goats, who took the win last month, in pole position in the team competition in Category 2 at the moment. Well, in Category 1 on the left-hand side of your screen, Ollie Jones, Michael Knudsen, Stefan Van Els, Said Safra Zaidi, Sveb Dvart in the mix. So is Mikhail, well, I say that, Mikhail Plantro now off the pace. Arne Jacobs now off the pace. Ricardo Panizza now off the pace. Johan Noren fighting to stay with the group.
So this is where Noren has to dig deep. We see him climb on long climbs. He can set that pace. But we are in a position where at 100th rider on the road, he's got a lot of people in front. He can use that as his target to make his way up there. We're just in a little bit with the rider who's in the midst of them with Fadal Hakta at the moment. And he can see these riders coming past. The temptation must be for Fadal to jump onto a wheel and follow it. But it's so
he'd be
risky.
A Category 1 rider if he could. These are the top of Category 1. They're absolutely motoring. If one of our Category 2 riders could jump on at this point in time at 11.4%, they're in the wrong category.
Yeah, yes. Exactly, great bicycle. Like and fools seldom differ. Lionel Vajassin, one man who definitely is in the right category, in Category 1 up in this leading group. It has come down to much more manageable numbers. Jones, Osborne, Vajassin, Safran Sadie, DeVitt, Knudsen, all in the mix here. This is going to be key for Justin, the rider we're in with on the left of your screen, a rider who not all that long ago was fancied as one of the big hot favourites for the World Championships. I don't think he's lost that status. He's just been joined in that status by many other riders as we've seen more and more riders develop their strategies to improve. But of course, it's all going to come down to pacing, peaking, just like it does on this climb, because at the moment, the leaders in Category 1, they're at 38k. The leaders in Category 4, they are leading this out. Alex West currently at 41.2k. The leaders in Category 4 on the right-hand side of your screen, the leaders in Category 3, at the moment, Stan Van Wellegem and Andre Diedutch have a 2-second lead over Nicholas Spratt. Veles is with Spratt as well, so that group still big enough to not be a foregone conclusion in terms of the win, and the same is true here in Category 1. Osborne, Safrazadeh, De Wit, Van Elst, Jassin, Knudsen, all in this mix. They've got to make it count, though. I think on this climb, when you look at these riders, we've just had a little bit of an easy. It's going to kick again as we come round this turn. The riders at the moment setting the pace. Van Elst, he has done a lot of work on the front, and we know he's getting stronger. Has he got strong enough?
Well, he is indeed doing a lot of work on the front, and that is a good question. Has he got strong enough? Well, we shall see, because we are coming up towards the final 6 kilometres of this Category 1 race. Safrazadeh, Jones, Osborne, Vu, Yassin in the mix. Van Elst is there too. There's 8 riders still in the leading group in Category 1. The strength and depth of this Category 1 race, absolutely phenomenal. But I can tell you, all 4 riders from hard to guard are still in the leading group.
Looks like that armour is still holding up at the moment. Will it stay in place? Will it be victorious at the top? Will it be the king of the mountain? We will have to find out. Still plenty of distance for people to attack, plenty of distance for people to make mistakes. Meanwhile, you can see our riders continue to make the way up the climb here. Cadabona, the rider in red, we've just gone past, and looks like just in front there are 6 riders left in front of the leaders in Category 3. Stan Van Wellegem. Let's talk a little bit about Stan Van Wellegem. Stan Van Wellegem has improved and improved and improved. I really I love the way that he's incrementally crept into our consciousness, incrementally crept up the standings, to the point now where Van Wellegem, really, he's somebody who we should be thinking about each and every week.
Well, he was second last week in Category 3 on the Heritage Climb, so he climbs well. But he really does pick his races in terms of coming to the fore, which I think is a really good strategy. And you are quite correct. He's been a little under the radar, but he has actually been getting better and better and better. Well, Stan Van Wellegem on Category 3, pushing on the left-hand side of your screen. On the right-hand side of your screen, you can see that Van Wellegem is pushing now into the top 5 overall, and here come the train behind him of Category 3 riders. They are closing in on the right-hand side of your screen, which is the top 3 in the Category 4 race. So West, SS, West and SS are the 2 leaders in Category 4. Tim Connell has been dropped by them. It was a group of 3. It's now a group of 2, and that's Connell, the rider behind in red. So SS in the polka dot jersey, blue shoes, blue gloves, blue bandana. West in the red jersey, white shoes, white gloves, yellow bandana. Connell, you can see him just coming round the corner in the black and red helmet. These 3 riders were neck and neck for a long time. They're into the final 3 kilometres now of the Jebel Hafeet, and SS is starting to push. West is sitting on his wheel. Connell is about to get company because Stan Van Wellegem from the Category 3 race is about to come up onto his wheel. Well, Van Wellegem has around 15 plus seconds on the chasing group in Category 3.
But they are in sight behind. This climb is so steep that you can see the chasers when they're coming. They're just tucked behind the table on the right-hand side of our screen. So leader on the road, though, SS, a regular on the Sunday Race Club. Had to take some time off from the Sunday Race Club, but he's come back in again and improving. But Stan Van Wellegem, he's improving. He's climbing his way all the way into the race lead. He's now our leader on the road, the Category 3 leader that has a 15-second gap now on Diduch, on Veles, on Kansara and Spratt. They are all behind. They've all been distanced by this man. Come the ascent, cometh Van Velegum. Will it be his day for victory in Category 3? He's not long to find out. He's at 42.3, so 42.4. He's eating up the meters on his way to the finish at 45 kilometers. Just behind him, Category 4 leader SS with company. Alex West grabbing onto the wheels. Tim Connell within touching distance. Diduch not that far behind. In Category 2, Mr. X100 again pushing harder through this section. It eases a little the gradient here. He's used this to put the pressure on. He has made his way into the lead. He's got Sanchez for company. Behind him, Theme, Nuki, Heaney, Kayan, and Co. Big group, but they are currently at 13 seconds. They've lost that ground on this short section. They need to pull that back. It's going to be all about what can they do on the final 3.6k that they have to cover here in Category 2. Category 1, they're chasing hard behind. That was, we last saw, a good-sized group. However, will that have broken up? Let's just take a little look at El Lamy here, a rider who's very good at climbing here. Mohamed El Lamy out of the saddle, continuing to kick here. 41.4k under his wheels, tucked in with this group. Will he have the strength to go up to our leaders in the Category 2? That's left-hand side of your screen, right-hand side of your screen. 42.8k now pretty much covered, forced down Velegum. The gap is at 16 seconds. Is there no end to the gaps that this man can put into the opposition here? Spratt, Veles, Diduch, Angarita, Kansara, Amaro. Come on, lads. Time to get a wriggle on.
Get a wriggle on? Well, they've got just over 2 kilometres to go. Van Velegum now at the 2k to go mark. The gradient now at 3%. It's less steep towards the top, and getting the timing right, absolutely crucial. Has Van Velegum got his timing right in Category 3? It's 27 seconds clear of Nicholas Spratt on the right-hand side of your screen, who's leading the charge at the moment. But Van Velegum is on a charge of his own, and he is absolutely motoring away. He is the rider who wants the win today. What can Spratt do about it? I'm not sure he can do anything. I think he's going to run out of road. While Amaro now moving into third place from the group and pulling the group back up. Diduch, Veles, Kansara, Angarita all in the mix. It's a really big group of Category 3 riders. Well, if Van Velegum takes first, who's going to take second, third, fourth and fifth? That has not been answered yet. Well, on the left-hand side of your screen, we're in with X100. He's working his way up the mountain as well, and at around 10% in that Category 2 race. He's got Mateo Sanchez for company. They are working and working strongly, but we drop back in with the leaders on the road at the moment, and the leader on the road at the moment is Stan Van Velegum. He is the rider from Belgium in Category 3, currently leading the race. Well, the gap, Matt, looks like it's coming down.
Fractionally, and we've got the time gaps are live, so basically they're computed by the system. They work out speed and distance, and they work out who is where and what speed they're doing. The man who's doing the most speed at the moment, it is Jason Osborne. Now, before we started the show, Emma predicted off air, I'll have to say this, it pains me to say this, Emma predicted that Jason Osborne would go for a long one.
On the Jebel Hafeet.
On the Jebel Hafeet. Now, I'm not sure the last 5k count as a long one, but definitely he has gone for it solo with a long one. He's gone for a solo attack. He's on the front. He is climbing well. He is the rider who, when it's a long climb, comes to the fore. Let's see if he can hold that in Category 1. In Category 2, Mr. X100 with Mateo Sanchez. They're on your screens at the moment. They've 9 seconds on Thiem and Nuki. Then in Category 3, Stan Van Velegem clear of Amaro. And we've got in Category 4 an attack, another move being made. SS on the front at the moment. He has got company, so it's not all over in any of the race categories. Osborne looking the most dominant in Category 1. Van Velegem was looking dominant in Category 3. And in fact, there we are. The time gaps have yo-yoed once again. He has opened the gap back up 20 seconds. And remember, at 44.5k, that will be the polka dot banner. That will be the end of the Jebel Hafeet climb section, but it's not the end of the race with that critical section over the top where momentum is key. Pablo Popovic, the momentum master of the last section, is the Pablo Popovic sprint section.
Is it? Well,
it's named from here on in.
Currently, it's one rider, Van Velegem, with 6 riders chasing. There are 5 spots on the podium, 7 riders on our screens as Van Velegem moves towards the last 600 metres of the race. Osborne is doing what Osborne does, and he's climbing his way away from the Category 1 riders. X100 and Sanchez are still clear, but there's only 12 seconds separating them from a huge chasing group with 2 kilometres to go in that Category 2 race. Well, Van Velegem in Category 3 is the leader on the road at the moment. He comes around the corner. He's on the descent. This is the steep run now to the finish line. You can see it on the top right-hand corner of the screen. He's going to come round that right-hand bend. He's going to see the polka dot banner. Stan Van Velegem, the Belgian rider, has ridden away from the riders behind in Category 3. He sees the UCI banner. He is going to be the rider over the line first today. Your winner, Stan Van Velegem, in the final of August in Category 3.
Great riding by Van Velegem. Not too far behind comes the sprint for second.
Well, the sprint has opened up already, and it's Angarita Reyes from Amaro. Angarita Reyes kicks it around 14 watts per kilo. He's going to take the sprint. He's going to take second place. Amaro's going to come through for second, and I think Valles from Diedutch is going to round out the podium today. Well, the Category 3 riders never disappoint. Van Velegem in 1, Velez in 2, from Kansara, from Amaro, from Diedutch. Well, SS coming through and down in Category 4. Tim Connell coming up behind him at the moment, and Connell coming up and over the top in Category 4. SS not getting his timing right there with the momentum, having to pick up here, but West comes over the top. Is it going to be Connell? Is it going to be West? West takes it from Connell right on the line.
What a sprint, what a run through there. West from Cornell. I think SS there just getting that timing wrong there. Just an issue just at the wrong point in time. He took the fastest time. He was the first through the sprint section at the very top. First underneath the banner of the climb, but it didn't then transpire into a race win overall. We will round up all of the positions in a short while, as much as we can, live on air. At the moment, though, the Category 2 leaders are at 1 kilometre to go. The Category 1 leader chasing hard is solo. That's Osborne. He's at 43.8k, and I would not put it past Osborne to close down the Category 2 leaders as well. The pace that he's travelling.
He will do indeed. I think he's going to do this. He's only about 150 metres behind. So X100 and Mateo Sanchez locked into a battle in Category 2. The chase on behind, because Ken, Thiem, Khan Ken, Burt Ken, Christoph Thiem only, 15 seconds back. In fact, Khan Ken closing the gap down big style, and we know Khan and Burt Ken both have huge sprints on them. So in the latter stages of the race, you really have to watch out. Well, Jason Osborne now coming up onto the shoulders of Ivan Nuki. Nuki 7 seconds back on Ken.
in Category 1. Really tight. Osborne up down the road. Fair dues, no problems at all for him. But it's a battle royale between Ollie Jones and Michael Knudsen in those positions behind Khan Kayan, currently on the move. He's on his way up towards Sanchez and Mistakes 100. This is going to make things interesting at the front of Category 2. Oh my goodness, these riders are going to need to say something surely for that last section. Is this going to come down to experience about who gets the timing to the line right, who carries the momentum through at the right time?
Well, 2 riders become 3 as Sanchez and X100 are joined by Khan Ken, but Christoph Thiem, Burke Ken are only 3 seconds behind, and Jason Osborne is coming the leader in Category 1. He's going to sweep past those 2 riders, and if they've got any sense, they're going to dig deep to see if they can move with him. But it's Sanchez and X100. Khan Ken is there as well. This is now all about timing. Who's got the sprint? Kayan is going to dig, so is Sanchez and X100. Khan Kayan digs. Is he going to come up and over the top? Is Matteo Sanchez going to make it? He's not. I think this could be Sanchez, X100, Ken. 10 watts per kilo from Ken. Is it going to be enough? No, it's not. Matteo Sanchez is going to take it from X100, from Khan Kayan. Then I think we're going to see Christoph Thiem and Bert Kayan come up and over the top. Wow, wow, wow.
An absolute sprint fest behind now. Jason Osborne in and through the line, coming in to the riders. Jason Osborne, your winner in Category 1, coming through in the mix. This is the fight behind, and it looks like Jones has got the upper hand.
Now Jones has got the upper hand on Osborne as Ollie Jones comes through, swings around the right-hand bend, sees the OCI banner. Ollie Jones is going to take second place in Category 1 today. Michael Knudsen looks like he's got a battle on. Well, he hasn't. He's got a battle on with El Alami in Category 2, but Michael Knudsen is going to take third place today in Category 1. A little bit further back down is Seb Dvert, looking like he's going to take his first top 5 place today in the Sunday Race Club, coming through for 4th place today in Category 1. Saeed Safrazadi is going to be the next rider through. Phenomenal racing, ever Mr. Consistent, as he comes through for 5th spot, rounding out the podium today in Category 1, Saeed Safrazadi.
So a real battle all the way into the line in the individual competition. The team competition has been crazy too. So let's run you through the individuals first of all. Jason Osborne from Ollie Jones. They're your 1, 2, with then Knudsen, David, Safrazadi taking out 4th and 5th in Category 2. Sanchez in 1, X100 in 2, Khan Kayan and Bert Kayan in 3rd and 4th, with Christoph Thiem coming through in 5th place. In our Category 3 race, it was Marvin Angarita Reyes taking 1, Amaro in 2, Velez in 3, Daiduch in 4, and Spratt in 5. In Category 4, Tim Connell taking the win in 1, Catabono in 2, Francis in 3, SS in 4, and Justin Roy in 5. That's where we are at the moment in our respective categories. They are live at the moment on the MyWhoosh.com website. Click on results. The riders are starting to come into the top 10. Our riders in Category 1. Remember, they set off behind the rest of the riders. They made up a lot of time. In terms of teams, Emma, can we have a fast rundown of every single team in the top 3?
Well, Hardsguard look like they've taken the win in Category 1. The Goats in Category 2 from the Wattage Warlocks. In Category 3, the Gold Grabbers from Draft. And in Category 4, it looks like it's the Anzacs from the Level Avengers.
Well, who will be out for revenge when we move from August into September? You'll be able to see who needs to take revenge, who needs to be crowned from the top of the tree, because they were our winners in the final race. You can catch all of the results on MyWhoosh.com, and make sure you download the latest version of the app. Click on MyWhoosh. Follow it on social media at MyWhoosh. Myself, it's at Matt Fix the Pain. You can get hold of Emma
at Biking_Emma on Instagram.
And don't forget, all of this made possible by the fantastic team behind the scenes who bring you the amazing game. And of course, the fantastic footage that we get to put words to the action. Next week is going to be a slightly different week. I am on duty behind the mic at the UCI Mountain Bike World Championship. So if you're over in Andorra, please do come and say hello. Emma's going to be there as well, working behind the scenes on the shows, but she's also going to be there bringing you the Sunday Race Club. We're going to be coming live from Andorra for a change. So we will be back from somewhere a little bit further south and a whole lot higher in altitude. Hopefully, Emma won't have a squeaky voice from the lack of oxygen, and she will be able to hold it all together whilst there are World Championships decided around. I'm sure she will. She's dab hand at this.
Hopefully about it.
No hopefully about it. I hope you will join Emma next week. But from myself, Matt Payne, from Emma Martin, and all the amazing team who are there behind the scenes making all of this possible, stay safe. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.